Tonight, 8 teams, 4 matches. The third week of the WGNA continues. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joshua Gray.
And I am Randall Holcomb. We had some great matches last night on the broadcast and even some amazing plays off the broadcast.
Yeah, we saw a lot of exceptional play last night. I'm looking forward to what's going to be in store tonight with some of these teams as we continue to see the divide with the different standings of the top-level teams and the mid-level teams, more or less, and then ones at the bottom. Timed out one of those bottom teams, unfortunately, right now. 0 wins, but we're going to see them play tonight.
Yeah, but they will be playing against a team also in need of points, Victoria's Secret. And between the two of them, we'll finally see one of them maybe get a few of those points, get a little farther ahead. Maybe even a tiebreaker should be fun. Everyone gets something then. Let's
take a look at last night's scores. Well, 2 nights ago. On Tuesday, Roulette faced Hammer Time in an incredible tiebreaker. Hammer Time was able to win it barely. 5-4 matchup. RBIS took down Simple Tankers 5-2. Simp took out Penguin Mafia 5-1. And Fun Gaming went down to Simply Irresistible 5-1. Simply Irresistible, a team that's joined us for the first time in the Gold League and the best team so far out of the new teams.
Yeah, and Swipple on that team is curiously, performing incredibly well. He's one of the top across the board on stats is on average.
The overall outcomes, we're going to have the same question the other day today as well with, which of these teams at the end are you rooting for? Not likely kind of surprises more or less from last night or from 2 nights ago, but tonight I think one of the biggest matchups that we'll talk about is going to involve I Love Lamp and Top Tier, because Top Tier is a team that's really, really been struggling. And we'll talk about them in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and recap some more of the matches more in depth, taking a look at that first matchup of Roulette versus Hammer Time, but also the non-broadcasted matches. Victoria's Secret 5-4, Timed Out lost to Elevate 3-5, Cunningham's 5-0, and I Love Lamp 5-2.
Yeah, and you really need to go back and watch the Cunningham's Top Tier because Commander J did things that should not happen at this level of play. And by should not happen, I mean he accomplished not 1, but 2 clutch plays to win a battle.
Yeah, the Noble, formerly the Googly Bobbers, having a good performance so far, but they're in a bit of a downward spiral with a couple losses the last number of weeks. But still early, not very early in the season, but early enough for us to determine which side. Is it more the veteran teams staying at the top 4 or kind of the newcomers like RBIS who surprised us in such a way to take 3rd place in the Season 4 finals? Was very impressive. Let's move on and talk about Roulette versus Hammer Time. I've been really jonesed up to talk about this series, Rookhill, especially because of this moment.
Yes, exactly. As does something which also is absolutely amazing. So Master Putin and himself going in to stop the cap. That's just what they need. Only a reset because now Hammer Time cannot cap to win. They have to get the kill. He manages to get away using the terrain to his advantage and then escapes into the exact little perfect spot in that river in order to not die in those last seconds in order to have that defense victory. It was so good.
We're going to call that Operation Not Die, starring Aspil. It was very impressive. Now, Master Putin, however, had another tough incident at the very end of the tiebreaker on steps. He was getting close to the flag cap. Instead of going up and over the rock and getting the shot in the 1390, he went around the rock in the center of the map, and that added about 3 or 4 seconds that he needed to get a reset. Unfortunately, not able to get it. Hammer Time took that series. Moving on, talking about RBIS versus Simple Tankers. These two teams were tied 2 nights ago in standings, but not anymore based on the performance coming from RBIS.
Yeah, and I loved what Simple Tankers was able to accomplish on Prohorovka between Angry White Guy and Zazie. Zazie's nearly dead. 1 more shell, automatically killed. But Angry White Guy gets in the way just perfectly, predicting the 1390's moves exactly on time in order to block it with this tank. They both do die as they try to escape. Bad position after that, but I still loved to see that kind of team play, which is something to expect from Simple Tankers, but to see it in action is always a thrill.
Of course, the constant thing that you and I keep talking about and bringing up with Simple Tankers is their brawling effectiveness. Still not effective, and one of the scenarios was a perfect example of them charging in, taking a bunch of damage, and therefore fighting from a deficit.
Yeah,
when they engage.
The biggest problem with that is that they're taking damage getting into those brawls. They do an excellent job, you know.
Let's move on and talk about Simply Irresistible and Fun Gaming here. This was a move that I loved, using the Magical Force of Borobanka, where Simply Irresistible put a lot of their tanks in that Delta Echo quadrant, about 8-9 line, and waited for Fun Gaming to kind of approach and see what was happening, and they swarmed them up in the north. Two of their heavy tanks were out of the fight, and that was fantastic for Simply Irresistible to get the win.
It was Simply Irresistible being one step ahead of Fun Gaming. Fun Gaming tries to pull a reasonable strategy, something that could work very well depending on their execution, but Simply Irresistible is in the right place at the right time with the right tanks, and that's just a recipe for success right there. Everything just before the engagement is perfect, and you're giving yourselves every chance to win when that happens.
Do you think Simply Irresistible has been tested enough with some of the teams that they've fought so far, or they still have more of an uphill climb to make facing, you know, say Simp or some of these other teams?
I mean, until they face Simp, you're never going to find out how well they're going to do against the best we have in America. When they play Simp, then you know. Then you know where they stand, because I think we're going to measure everyone against Simp this season.
Well, and the tough part about Simply Irresistible, they've had a number of tiebreaker wins, and that could hurt them later on in the season because it's only a 2-point victory compared to 3 points for a full 5 victory on the battlefield here.
That is fair. That's fair to say, but it's better than nothing.
Oh, it's definitely better than nothing, and they're sitting higher than where they were before. Let's see how they're going to pan out tonight, because they're going to be playing it, I believe, as well on a non-broadcasted match. We're going to continue with our pregame show after this. Stay tuned.
Hello, tankers, and welcome to crew training. Any competent vehicle operator knows that the moving parts of a machine will break down, especially if they're getting shot at. When it comes to tanks, the tracks are the most common mechanism a crew will scramble to fix. That's where repairs come in. The repair skill increases a crew member's ability to fix a damaged module. Every single member of your crew has this ability, and it's highly recommended that it's the first skill that you research. When the repair skill starts gaining experience, you will notice a reduction in repair time when a module goes out of commission. Tracks, turrets, viewfinders, even the engine may need a couple bangs from a wrench after a lucky shot from the enemy. If you need to repair a module instantly, you can use a small repair kit, which you purchased before the battle began. You can also purchase the large repair kit, which adds plus 10% to the crew repair speed. Now, once this kit is used, that bonus is gone, but every single damaged module is fully repaired. Some tank commanders prefer to install a toolbox, adding plus 25% to the crew repair speed. If you can tell the difference between a wrench and a torsion bar, we'll make a mechanic out of you yet. Good luck, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Those repairs always coming in handy on the battlefield.
Definitely. Always bring a large repair kit, guys, and don't forget the fire extinguisher.
That's right. That's right. Moving on, let's talk about the matches that we have tonight. I Love Lamp versus Top Tier. I Love Lamp currently 2 victories over Penguin Mafia and Noble. Their losses have been against Hammer Time, Simply Irresistible, and Simple Tankers. So they've been facing kind of the half-veteran, half-new team so far in their career in Season 5. Tonight they face another veteran team here with Top Tier, but they're not performing like a veteran team.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Top Tier is looking at 1 win, 1 tiebreaker loss, and then 3 losses. I'm not
this isn't
super
the same
confident.
team. It doesn't feel like the same team from Season 4.
Yeah, I watched the matches against Cunningham's. There are battles where I felt that the Top Tier I know, should have been able to take those and win, especially the clutches with Commander J. I give credit to Commander J in that match, but Top Tier also should have performed so much better in those situations.
Well, we'll see how they perform tonight. Full Potato versus Noble will be our second matchup. Full Potato finally had a victory in Week 2, and that was against Penguin Mafia. Their losses were against Simple Tankers and Hammer Time, and a tiebreaker loss against Simply Irresistible and Victoria's Secret. So still 1 point each on those battles. But they were grouped after the Hammer Time loss, and they still took a point from Victoria's Secret. But I feel this is a team that still needs to find their footing. Another new team here in the Gold League.
Maybe, but we I was looking at stats on damage, and that's what I was kind of trying to see who of these teams is really standing out and making that kind of face. And I looked, Chandog's at 44k damage for the league, which is
very high.
Very high.
One of the top performers.
Exactly, one of the top. And behind that, on Full Potato, they're still putting out good stats. I'm seeing solid damage. I'm not seeing players falling too far behind. It seems like they have a good lineup. It's more that their strategy and tactics and team play might need a little work. But individually, they're all doing excellently.
Noble started out on top, but they're having a little bit of trouble here recently. We'll see how they'll perform tonight. Timed Out versus Victoria's Secret. Timed Out has no wins so far, the team from Brazil, but they're starting to show some heart. Well, they've always showed heart, but they're starting to show some results, at least with some of the battle victories. No more of the 5-0 shutouts, but getting a little bit closer. And they had a good series against Elevate.
And against Hammer Time. Both of those were 3-5 losses, but 3 wins against Hammer Time and 3 wins against Elevate says that Timed Out Gaming isn't a pushover. They just have little things to work on to follow through in a series. I have been talking to members of the team, and it doesn't seem like they've lost heart yet. They're taking these losses as a learning experience.
Sure.
So there are teams that will do that. Later in the season, they'll start losing and losing and losing because they're up against excellent teams, and they will lose heart. Timed Out Gaming, I think, is only getting better.
Victoria's Secret finally had a win. It was a tiebreaker win over Full Potato. They had losses against Fun Gaming, Roulette, Simp, and RBIS. Now, last season it was roster issues. This season, I don't know what their issues are. Maybe just trying to find their footing as well. And the last series tonight will be the Cunninghams versus Elevate. And Randall, you love to praise the Cunninghams, and they're worthy of that praise.
Yeah, I really think the Cunninghams are great. And I had high hopes for Elevate at the beginning of the season, but I want to know, it's like, do you think that Elevate's going to bring anything to the table that's going to really throw the Cunninghams off?
Differently from what Bernal Empire's offered in previous seasons, because that's the former name of Elevate, I would really hope so. I would hope that this name change and this new management or new acquisition for Elevate has changed the team in the positive. I love their aggression. And if they play their game with that aggression, I feel that they can catch the Cunninghams off guard for 1 or 2 battles, but the Cunninghams are smart enough and quick enough to adapt. So then it becomes that third kind of choice for Elevate is what do you do after Cunningham's adapts to your first attacks and first brawls.
Yeah, you're right. That's going to be the big thing about that series, to see if Elevate's going to be able to bring this one out.
It's going to be a good series, though. Cunningham's has continued to impress us and been one of the constant teams throughout the number of seasons that we've had. But they are also in a state where they could bumble and fall or overthink, and that's one of their biggest weaknesses. Well, that does it for our pregame show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching, but stay tuned for the first battle up next.
The 2 biggest strengths I Love Lamp has is that every single player can think for themselves and can think with the collar so they can contribute during a battle. And also that even though we don't practice as much as we should, we are cohesive as friends because we do pub a lot and it's usually within the players in the team. Our 2 biggest weaknesses are that we don't practice, which it will be fixed because we do not want to embarrass ourselves in Season 5 as a new team. And sometimes temperaments and player attitudes can get out of hand if something goes bad. If we lose a match, our mindset unfortunately does go down, but as one of the leaders in the team, I make sure that everyone resets and is fresh for the next battle. And I tell them it's not over until it's over.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLNA. We're almost ready for our first matchup of I Love Lamp versus Top Tier, a team that's been with us ever since Season 2. I Love Lamp joining us for the first time this season. Sure, the anxiety is going to be high on both ends, on both sides here, because performance-wise, still not looking the best.
Yeah, but like you said, new team. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
That's the only thing we can do right now is wait and find out. You can follow us on Twitter at WGLNA, Facebook.com/WGLNA, and use that hashtag WGLNA so we can find your tweets and put them up on the broadcast.
And don't forget about the question of the day, which is, which underdog is most likely to upset their opponent tonight and why? Don't forget to tweet at us at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA.
I would love to see the impact from social media and also in Twitch chat from our audience of, one, who they're going to bet for, but also who they think's an underdog in this series. If you measure it based on experience in the Gold League, I Love Lamp is the underdog, hands down.
I agree.
Performance-wise, though, just for this season, it's a little bit even right now.
Yeah, but we can also say Top Tier did face Simp, and we've yet to see I Love Lamp do the same thing. So we'll look forward to when that happens. There's little things like that, trying to make a counterpoint at least.
Face-Off is ready with our two team representatives. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hi.
All right, start with Baby Halo, who still has his Christmas tree up. He'll save it till next year. What do you think about your performance so far, Baby Halo, for I Love Lamp moving into the second day of week 3?
Clean slate for the new year. We're not thinking about what happens before the holidays. So for this new year, we had a good start on Tuesday, for sure.
All right, good to hear. Let's check in with your teammate, or not your teammate, your rival, your opponent. Rude Awakening from Top Tier, not a teammate.
How's it going?
Hey, it's going well, man. Listen, we don't mean to be a little bit harsh on Top Tier, but what's happened in the beginning of this season? Not the outcome that we all expected.
Well, we have a lot of new members, and I haven't really done a good job, getting everybody on the same page. But it has been a work in progress, and we are getting significantly better every week. I believe we're going to turn it around today, and once we put together just a few things, which is what's going to happen, in my anticipation today, maybe next week, then we're going to get on a winning streak, and it's not about how you start, it's just about how you finish, and we're looking to gain a lot of momentum and get to the playoffs where the slates are wiped clean.
I want to ask about the Cunningham's match.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with you guys there?
Commander J was pretty good.
Well, I think every team can say that.
Yeah.
And he played extremely well. We played really well, too. As a matter of fact, we got a lead in pretty much every game we played against them that day, but they made more big plays than we did at the end. So, we moved on. Right after that game with the Cunninghams, we kind of, looked at ourselves. We know what we did right, know what we did wrong, and we moved on to I Love Lamp.
Rude Awakening, do you have any words for your opponents before we start?
Good luck and have fun.
Baby Halo, any words?
Looking forward to the GGs.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Best of luck on the battlefield. There you have it, our first face-off for our first two teams tonight. I like the sentimentality, a bit of both teams, but also Rude Awakening's attitude right now. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Exactly. However, they could have done with a much better start, I think.
You can place your bets right now in Twitch chat. All you have to do is follow the syntax. If you have any questions, ask people in chat. Badco, our supreme moderator, will be able to help you out, along with Actually Shakes. That's Dan Morris, our social media correspondent. Now, why do the points matter in betting? Well, we have a leaderboard at WGLConnect.com that you can check out and see where you stand. And the top performers have an opportunity to win an awesome prize tonight. And for more information, you can ask the people in chat. Make sure to hit that follow button on as well, so when we go live, you get a notification. Let's take a look at those rosters, Randall, for these two teams. I don't think there's a lot of roster changes with these guys here.
No. What I want to focus on mostly is damage today. Akula from I Love Lamp is the top damage dealer right there. He's got 43k damage dealt this season, which is exceptional. For a team like I Love Lamp with a record that they have, being 2-1-2, I would not have expected anyone on the team to break away into that damage dealing, but he's a good, solid player who's doing his job exceptionally well. On top tier, E63M6 is the top damage dealer for their team. He only has 39k, which is still above and beyond most players in the league, but compare that to I Love Lamp, and you're seeing more damage output from the I Love Lamp roster than from the top tier roster.
It's one of those balances of having an incredible individual based on a team performance that, Cunningham's has this with Commander J over and over again. But these other teammates don't really have these superstars yet that are as established.
Yeah, and there are certain play styles which become superstars. People who are going to be in those high damage dealing tanks like 5100s and 1390s, sometimes RU251s. But the IS3 players aren't going to stand out as much. Neither are the guys in the KV5s or KV3s and such. They're just not going to be able to do that. But when they do their job well, they're not going to be noticed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for match number 1, Battle 1, between I Love Lamp and Top Tier, taking place on Himmelsdorf. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
All right, we've got 2 AMX 5100s, 2 IS3s, an IS6, and 2 ISs for Top Tier. They're going to be the attackers in red. Now on the blue team, I Love Lamp has brought 3 AMX 5100s, a single IS3, KV5, T29, and a Tiger 1. So it looks like I Love Lamp is trying to break that 10K mark as far as hit points. On the defense, smart play. Your opponent's probably going to be taking bad trades to start the engagement, and you can use all the hit points you can get.
It's what we talked about last night, that survivability. And even for the attacker's side, having more HP or using a KV5 is a viable option to have when you're trying to assault, break into this northwest corner.
Exactly.
And that's where I Love Lamp has positioned their tanks right now in this northwest corner on the defensive side. And Top Tier looks like they have a bit of a spread. 2 of their tanks heading up the hill, while 5 will be going down the G line and up the possibly 7-8 line here on Tank Alley.
Yeah, it looks like Rude Awakening and Callus will be heading up the 7-8 line, the banana, with Memory Leak, E63, and Invade heading west. So a bit of a split, and you can clearly tell the intention is to get into the position to break that northwest defense early on. They're not expecting anything cheeky, anything fancy off the wall, but they are being cautious on their way up there. If they were caught out, though, you could see I Love Lamp win that fight. This isn't a situation we're looking at, but their current lineup, the current way they're breaking apart, is such that they're rather distanced from each other. The tanks on the hill are not going to be able to help in a fight if it happens in a position that Top Tier does not dictate.
Movement still slow coming from I Love Lamp, methodical. Leapfrogging back and forth. Well, not back and forth. Leapfrogging forth, you should say, up north past the courtyard. While 3 tanks are still in the courtyard section, the 2 are climbing on the other side of the hill, the IS and the IS3. That's Spencer and Coolhammer. Aggressor in the T29 and Starshield in the Tiger 1 will be the first tanks to spot him if a trigger is pulled from Top Tier.
I do find it odd that the Tiger is in that position, which tells me that I Love Lamp is expecting what is becoming the most common way of breaking that attack, which is you're going to first get yourselves onto the northeast cap, but after that you're seeing IS3s and such go into the position currently held by Aggressor and Starshield in that Tiger 1, and then immediately killing that tank because it's such a short distance that they can afford to take the damage to gain that control.
Rude Awakening peeks around the corner and takes a hit for 229 to the front. IS3 Invade hit to the side for 271. Aggressor in the T29 hit twice for 405, and Starshield in the Tiger peeks around the corner and looks for a hit and bounces off the IS6. Aggressor still in the T29 trying to stay in the fight, but low, and Callus is the first to fall here.
Oh wow, that's going to throw things off a lot. There's just about out. Never mind, good hits are evening this fight back up, but Tanks Alive goes to I Love Lamp. The hit point sharing is very important in this fight right now.
Starshield pushing first in the Tiger 1, very low on health up against the ISs here. Invade could be the next one to fall, but Spencer takes down Starshield, and then Invade goes down from breast cancer, or fight breast cancer, excuse me. IS. Coolhammer hit for 2 shots for 635. Nona hit for 402 and a total volley. Spencer is alone up top, and there's no quick movement coming from E63M6 and his teammate.
Ooh, a miss from Consequences is going to let Spencer go a little bit longer, a little bit healthier, and get Nona. Now it's an IS3 versus a KV5, while the 5100s, Memory Leak, and E63 are going to retreat back to the south. Hit points, as you look at them, a little bit in favor of I Love Lamp. That KV5 is actually proving to be rather effective. He's staying healthy against Spencer and winning right now.
He's staying healthy, he's staying alive, and the AMX 5100 has enough time to reload and get this kill. But this is up to E63M6 and Memory Leak, as E63M6 and Memory Leak may be reloading themselves, telling Spencer, just hold on, try to kill as much time as you can, or at least enough shots from the 5100 as you can, for Makula or Fight Breast Cancer, as these two tanks will be up against 3 with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left. At this time, they are almost reloaded if they decided to reload after that engagement, taking down one of the I Love Lamp tanks. I Love Lamp, as the defenders, can bide their time in top tier to come to them.
They can, but they need to take up a solid defensive position and be able to cover their angles. They're going to go back to that northwest position, but there are some sneaky angles up here that E63 and Memory Leak could work in order to get some damage. They have enough damage between the two of them in order to get these kills, but they don't have the hit points to trade well. E63 can only take 2 shells, being from 5100s and KV5.
Memory Leak able to dodge one of the shots from Akula.
Nice, nice. And he's going to distract them a little bit, and now he's going to put on a show of leaving. So he's spotted for a short time, and he's going to turn himself around. His opponent's I Love Lamp can see that. But now he's probably gone dark, and he can turn himself around if he would like, or he can keep going in any direction without being detected.
E63M6 left that position and is going, looks like up the 6 line.
Yeah,
yes.
That seems like a pretty good play. You're going to get distance from your opponent. You've got that, you know that curve on cap in the north, which E6 might be approaching, that little bit of a curvature of the buildings as you get on cap. He might be able to utilize that in order to sneak a shot onto Fight Breast Cancer. Of course, it could work against him.
E63M6 still plugging the corner.
Memory Leak from the other side is moving back to the same position he was in previously after leaving for a short time.
And Memory Link could start the engagement here. Does. Takes a hit to the front for 334. The KV5 is guarding this 5100. Memory Leak gives a hit for 316.
I don't think that trade was what was needed in this situation. Memory Leak can't bounce shells like this, and there he goes.
And now it's up to E63M6 with 45 seconds left to go. Fight Breast Cancer gets 1 hit. Can he get a second? Misses. And E63M6 takes him out. Last tank alive here with a sliver of health. And
nice shot through the window. Consequences misses it, but E63 should be out of shells now. And he has no escape route. Akula's loaded, and it should be an easy kill.
1 shot, 1 kill. Akula gets it, and I Love Lamp puts a point on the board as the defenders on Himmelsdorf.
They brought more hit points in that situation. The
yes.
KV5 did exceptionally well in a 1v1 against an IS-3. I think that specific moment when we saw Consequences take on, I believe it was Spencer in the IS-3, between the two of them, that was where we were going to see the resolution of this brawl, because we saw hit points going back and forth, and we saw I Love Lamp make this push, where they completely overmatched the tanks of top tier in the very north, while still, by the way, holding on in the southwest. So this is it. Right when that happens, that KV5's just getting ready to square off against an IS-3, 5100 still alive. Notice that he doesn't take much any damage at all. There's 1 or 2 shells, and there's these little things about the way they were using their guns, the IS-3 and the KV5. Guns in World of Tanks, because of the complications involved with having a cannon which can run into various walls and such, that is not a part of the collision model, like the body of the tank. So you can actually use your gun, which can still receive damage, in this case, to block the shells coming out of the KV5. So you're kind of like fencing in a way, and you can see the way they do that. They kind of fence with their guns in order to absorb shells. They'll take damage, or their gun might get knocked out, but you can avoid that altogether if you're right on point.
Yeah. And that is what separates the good, the better, and the best between all these different players. Getting ready for the second battle here. Still on Himmelsdorf, another defensive position for I Love Lamp. It is tough to break that northwestern position. We've seen teams do it before, but what I noticed from top tier is they had that 5-2 split divide. Hill really didn't do much, and once they all kind of conglomerated around that corner, the train depot wasn't even assaulted at all. There's no pressure on that side, and so you have to think, if we do put pressure with 1 tank at long range, will that be effective? Is that the one change we need to make for this strategy in order for it to be effective? Or do we completely change our approach? We do something completely different and try to catch the defenders off guard. We're going to find out. 15 seconds left on the countdown. Randall, what do we have for tanks?
All right, so much the same from both sides. 2 5100s, 2 IS-3s, sorry, an IS-6 and 2 ISs for top tier. I guess Rude Awakening is bringing that IS-6 is kind of just staying strong with it. They're never going to give up on that tank. On the other side, I Love Lamp, still the defender. 3 5100s, not a single IS-3, that KV-5. Consequences, by the way, broke 2k damage last battle, and no one else was able to match him in damage. T-29 and a Tiger 1.
Star Shield and Aggressor, T-29, Tiger 1, going back to the similar positions here. It's the defenders for Isle of Lamp. Same opening so far from top tier, with 2 tanks hitting the hill and the majority of the team going up the 7-8 line, Tank Alley we call it.
And there's E63 moving up the 7-8, but I saw a bit of hesitation. It looked like they were going to blitz up the 7-8, but decided to choose a slightly safer motion. And they're going to send Rude and Callus first, the tanks with high alpha, the tanks with more armor, and the tanks they want to actually soak all of that damage. They want the 5100s, E63, and Memory Leak to be the last ones into the fight so that they can get their shots on the specific target they need to focus and absolutely annihilate it as quickly as possible.
There you see a bird's eye view of Himmelsdorf, that northwestern corner pocket where the 5100s and the KV-5 are currently housed, waiting for top tier to come to them again. And as they're crossing past the courtyard, top tier recognizes that the same strategy is coming from I Love Lamp in that corner. So they are getting ready to push in.
There is a lot of knowledge they don't have, though. Top tier doesn't know if anything's in the southwest. So they aren't exactly covering every single one of their bases in this approach, but they're taking that calculated risk where they're deciding, all right, can I afford to ignore this and trust that my opponent, I Love Lamp, is going to play the northwest defensive position? In this case, yes, it's paying off, but this strategy it has vulnerabilities for failure.
There's the first strike from Aggressor in the T-29, hits Rude Awakening for 1 shot to the front in his IS-6.
Where did that connect? I guess that's the right into the front drive wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there.
right there. That must have been it, because I can't see the damage. Oh, never mind, I missed that. How did I miss a giant hole in the front? Lower glacial plate hit, which is a nice thin piece of armor, and is that again?
Another shot against Rude Awakening, and now Invade's turning the corner, and here we go again. The trigger is being pulled from top tier. Spencer and Coolhammer in the ISs from the tippity top northern position, and the rest of top tier will be falling behind next to the flag cap here.
And the flanks will start coming in from I Love Lamp, a slight delay as they begin dealing damage to each other. There's been a bit of a payment of hit points in order to start this engagement, but it looks like it's starting to slowly come back into an equilibrium. But Rude Awakening with that flank should go down shortly, and that will throw things off.
Here comes a flank from Ryan and Fight Breast Cancer from behind. They could take down Rude Awakening, but 1 shot, 2 shots, and a big bounce. Invade takes down Aggressor. A couple more hits hitting the sides of top tier up to the north, and now Memory Leak in the 5100 in this audible, adaptable position here, falls back and is able to put some pressure on the tanks in the center, but now I Love Lamp is fully committing to getting around that corner. There goes Rude Awakening in the E63 M6. Tanks are tied up right now.
But Spencer goes down. Consequences again in the KV-5, surviving a little bit longer than expected. And because of that, Invade has to shift his focus, and that's going to throw things off. I Love Lamp starting to get a little momentum, but they need to get those kills. They need to finish some of these tanks because they're running out of everything. Actually, shells, to be exact, as all 5100s need to leave.
And the IS-3s and ISs have plenty of those, and they're trying to pop the backs of Akula and Noni right now as they're trying to get away. Big shot for 390 against Nona in the 5100. Invade, oh, nice long shot against Akula. Invade pushes up. He's going to body block and trap Nona for a guaranteed kill. And that tank, actually, Callus misses a shot in the IS. It's not good, Callus. You got to watch that. Invade gets the kill. Now Callus from around the corner can pop out, takes a hit, wants to get the beat on Akula, but no, he actually hesitates and gets taken down by Fight Breast Cancer, who will be on the run along with Akula in the 5100s.
Now Akula, getting away slightly, is going to have to leave Fight Breast Cancer completely alone. There's no escape for him, unless, wait, is he loaded? Nope, not anymore.
Invade gets the kill. 3 tanks against 1 as Akula in the 5100 fires from afar, takes down Coolhammer, 2 against 1.
Nice shot. Right through the windows, really thin angle, and he's able to find it, identify. This is why Akula is the top damage dealer for I Love Lamp because he makes shots like that. He has the knowledge, and of course he's in a 5100, but he's got a lot of things going for him.
He does. Yes, he does. I mean, that's the tank I would tank to prom, 5100.
Roll up in that.
Yeah. Hashtag roll out. Here we go. Akula now going up towards the hillside. Memory Leak chasing behind. Smart play coming from top tier, though, to go to both sides of the hill or to get on that flag cap, but not enough time for one tank, though. Memory Leak. Memory Leak. He knows he's there. He knows he's there.
That was close. That was really close. And Akula actually messing up his approach into the entrance up this hill. Now he's got to climb slowly, by the way. I think he should have painted it red. He'd get an inch per turn.
All right, here we go. Memory Leak. Ready to turn the corner. Akula is exposed. Tries to line up the shot. Oh, it hits for one, and he gets it. Memory Leak is able to close the battle for a win for top tier on Himmelsdorf. Now we're going to switch sides. Top tier will be on the defense, and I Love Lamp on the attack.
And now I want to look at these post-game stats because I think that's something where I'm going to learn a little bit more. I want to go to Rude Awakening for damage blocked by armor, because that's what the IS-6 does. It blocks more damage than you would expect by armor, but we'll compare that, of course, with the KV-5 Consequences, who was able to block 780. Reminding you again, IS-6 got 990. So in this situation, which was more valuable, the IS-6 or the KV-5? I'd say because we have a winner, the IS-6 proved more valuable than that KV-5, but we have to also give it to Invade, who in previous seasons, every time he shows up, things blow up, but 2,819 damage right there.
Show up and blow up. Yeah, very impressive indeed. This is one of the tougher battles for attackers because of this pocket on Himmelsdorf. And I like the adaptation that top tier made by bringing the two tanks from the hill to assault from the north side, and you use the cover right up on the right side of your screen, that building cover, and then forcing the engagement near them on the flag cap.
Yeah, I like that from top tier. They recognized where they needed to get an advantage. Their execution on that was a little bit lacking and made me worry for their ability to control the map, especially if they're just not able to kill that KV-5.
Yeah.
Stayed alive, should have died, manages to get one good bounce, and then from that, Invade has to shift his focus for the kill. It could have been a lot worse for top tier than it was, but I think what kept them in that fight was the end of the battle. You know, we see a lot of times with many teams, they'll play so well on the opening, but then something will go wrong and it will kind of snowball. Top tier was able to regain that control when their opponent put on an incredibly strong flank. They had individual players doing exactly what they needed to do without any orders to get cover and preserve their own lives. Top tier looks much better than when I was watching them in Cunningham's just the other day.
All right, well, it's good to hear. Rude Awakening. Like he said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Let's see how they're going to finish this series. So currently tied 1-1 on Himmelsdorf. Tides have turned. What do we have for tanks?
All right, now with the switch sides, top tier is defending. They're the blue team, and they've brought two 5100s, two IS-3s, a Waffentrager, and two ISs, which is a little weird for defense. I would have thought that Tiger 1 and the T-29 would be the more preferred choice. On the side of I Love Lamp, three 5100s, single IS-3. They're going with two KV-5s, trying to get that hit point pool up. And then Aggressor's going to be in a KV-2, which means they'll be bringing variable alpha, I'll say. Because with the KV-2, you're going to be firing HE. I hope you're not firing AP. And you can do significant damage against tanks like 5100s, but against tanks like the IS-3 or even the IS, you can get these incredible low rolls, which can make your KV-2 shell feel kind of lackluster, really. But a good connection on the Waffentrager or a good connection onto Memory Leak or Invade will mean that Aggressor can pay for his tank.
Still the opening run here coming from the red team, I Love Lamp. A little methodical and spread out. Ex-Soldier and Consequences are heading up Tank Alley, getting past the courtyard. Baby Skittles in the IS-3, blind firing to potential scouting positions from top tier. Ryan and Nona taking the rear position along with Fight Breast Cancer on that Tank Alley, while Aggressor in the KV-2 is further to the west. Baby Skittles now crossing the courtyard. And top tier hanging back with fanned out position on the eastern side rather than the west.
Yeah, it's a curious lineup with the way they're holding back with the Waffentrager with an IS to accompany it, while the 5100s sit on flanks. And the IS-3s, I believe this layout is meant to target a specific kind of attack, which is going to be up the 7-8 line, up the banana, because the IS-3s are there.
Look at this movement. Movement from top tier.
Spencer, is he going to peek out all right? Yes. He does exactly what he needs in order to make sure this corner is safe, a healthy level of suspicion, and surprise, look, KV-5 bounces a shell.
Consequences fires, and it lands into the sides of the buildings. Does not connect. Ex-soldier waiting the KV-5 too.
With that, the positions from I Love Lamp should be known to an extent. We know the KV-5s will be the center and front of any aggression, though at least they should be. 5100s and IS-3 with the KV-2 will be slightly to follow that. Oh,
Two
wow.
shots, 666 on Baby Skittles. Another one, 1002. And Memory Leak is able to get that closure. Baby Skittles is down. I Love Lamp down to tank.
And Cool Hammer manages to get that shot through a window. Nice 400 meters right there. That was surprising, I think. Although I Love Lamp, I think they may have just made the mistake of not moving forward or not having something to focus the attention away from that IS-3 who was clearly caught out.
Well, their movements from the hillside are a response to Baby Skittles falling. 4 minutes left on the battle clock.
Yeah, this is not going to be enough time, I think, for I Love Lamp. You've got actually more mobility from top tier, meaning that they can deal with the 5100s and perhaps even kind of ignore the KV-5s for a bit. Or at least it'll be easier for them to flank those KV-5s and get to the 5100s instead. We'll have to see, because they are moving the 5100s in, and E63M6 is not in a very good position to deal with this, although they're going to ignore them altogether and go for the IS-3s and
2 hits against Fight Breast Cancer in the 5100. Ryan was able to dodge one of those shots. Ex-Soldier leading the charge. 2 hits for 825, another one for 1306. Well, more than 2 hits for that amount. 438 hit for Nona. Returning fire on both sides. The I Love Lamp charges through. The movement of top tier to fan out and force them in is causing Breast Cancer to fall back, and he goes down. Rude Awakening gets that kill.
nice chasing right there. This is a perfect reply from top tier. They saw what was coming. Everything flexed as it should be. This appears to be a highly coordinated response.
Highly coordinated indeed. Aggressor, last tank alive for I Love Lamp. Currently going down the D-line, waiting for his doom as E63M6 in the Ramborsid Waffentrager.
Rheinborsig. I think it's Rhein. Right?
Ramborsig.
Just call it the waffle.
The waffle goes
wow.
down. Aggressor gets that Revengeance kill, and Memory Leak ready to pop the last shot, get the kill, and top tier leads the series 2-1 against I Love Lamp.
That was actually a pretty well placed shot. Hits the Waffentrager for, let's see, how much did he get to deal that battle? We got 1 connection, 1 penetration out of that KV-2, right onto the Waffentrager for a nice 801 hit points right at the end. I was wondering if he was actually going to get that shot in there. Such a slow, big tank, you'd think it would die before it gets any good shots out.
I really liked the mobility of top tier in this scenario. They have that eastern play in a fan position, not a parking lot strategy, harking back to the Korean World of Tanks days, but ready to open up a bit and then charge in on 2 different sides. And opening, if we'll notice, one of the tanks that was furthest to the west coming in from the north side and conglomerating together as a group rather than taking the long way around to try to set up a flank.
Yeah, I think the mistake from I Love Lamp here is that they sent a portion of their forces directly into a crossfire, and they didn't have a flank. It wasn't there. They're missing an entire tank in the situation. Aggressor is not there to absorb damage, bounce shells, deal anything. Everyone went into one little corridor, and you can see how top tier, being in so many spread positions like you were talking about, easy. That's I Love Lamp walking into a position top tier can only dream of.
Memory Leak performed very well in the 5100 with over 2,000 damage, almost 3,000 damage. But I was looking at the performance of the 5100s in general and the amount of focus that was being placed on them as they were turning those corners. They were not necessarily the first tank that was out, but in Veda Memory Leak were you either able to secure shots from around those corners or to get the cleanup kills. And that KV-5 charge from Consequences, who did the most amount of damage, was impressive and correct, but just everything else didn't really go in favor of I Love Lamp.
Exactly. And yeah, you were saying 2,831 damage, 2 kills as well. He could have very well had 3K damage potential out there, and right behind Invade.
What do you think about these IS choices?
I think that an IS is a strong choice. You know, it's got the 390 damage when it hits, which is about the same as the IS-3. So you get a tier 7 with a tier 8's level of damage, kinda. DPM isn't there. It reloads a little bit slower, a little bit less accurate. It's just an IS-3 without all of the cute little great things we love
without the
about
bells and whistles,
yeah,
and Shuka and things that they continue to improve. And
or
you can
heated
see,
seats.
Yeah, or heated seats. You can see the improvement of the evolution of the Josef Stalin tank, the IS, into the IS-3.
Yeah, and I think it's a good choice. It has to be in the right hands.
It's definitely a good choice on Himmelsdorf, for sure. And we continue on Himmelsdorf in battle number 4 of Top Tier versus I Love Lamp. What do we have for tanks?
All right, we've got a 110, 5100, 3 IS-3s, Ryan Borsig, and an MT-25 from Top Tier. Okay, this is, I'll get to that in a moment. I Love Lamp, 3 5100s, IS-3, 2 KV-5s, and a KV-2, so same thing. Now, the Top Tier one, this was one that I believe Top Tier attempted to bring with Cunningham's yesterday, but due to a little bit of miscommunication in comms, I think someone readied up the wrong tank, and so they were actually bringing an illegal amount of points.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get to see this MT-25 do its job, to do what it wanted to do. Of course, the MT-25 is not common in the WGL. It seems like a big T-52, and I think it may be getting its reputation, at least its reputation with me, because when it came out, it was a Tier 6 light, and Tier 6 lights were tiered against 10s in pub battles. And it's worth 6 points as opposed to 5, where everyone who had been used to the T-52 back in the day said, why would I pay 6 points for a tank that's a bigger T-52?
Look at Top Tier's positioning. They've become very aggressive here in battle number 4, dictating and controlling everything on the western front of the battlefield and firing towards Ryan in the IS-3, who I'm sure is very surprised by the positioning coming from Top Tier. They fire towards X-Soldier for 452 and 306 against Consequences, doing damage already in an unprepared I Love Lamp movement.
And I like the Rude Awakening is over with Cool Hammer in the north, because KV-5's out there, they're going to be able to take them on, especially at range, where the KV-5's huge turret is going to be an easier target, whereas the 110 can hold down, and so can the IS-3 a little bit better. There you see a bounce on Rude Awakening with support fire coming in. That is Memory Leak and E63. Perfect tanks to be in that position. However, the proper move from I Love Lamp may allow them to put fire onto Memory Leak and then take him out very quickly, which is an important tank, because Memory Leak is the only autoloader on Top Tier right now.
In the series not being broadcasted, Simp versus Hammer Time. Simp is up 2-0 against Hammer Time. We'll keep you updated as the match continues. 5 minutes and 3 seconds left for the defenders to hold. No tanks have been destroyed yet. Cool Hammer takes a hit for 317, and now I Love Lamp pushing up on the western side from the south, trying to get a surround and splitting the forces, perhaps of Top Tier, as a lot of them have been engaged against X-Soldier and Consequences for the last 2 minutes.
And there was a costly move, losing so many hit points just to take out Spencer. Now, in the position you see I Love Lamp, this is not a winning scenario. They don't have the hit points with their damage dealers. Nona's about to go down very shortly, and Memory Leak, once he moves up, he can afford... Oh, Invade sneaks the shot in there.
Takes down Nona. Now Consequences and X-Soldier and the KV-5s are pushing up, and the 110 takes another hit against Consequences for 736. Cool Hammer can close this out against Consequences. X-Soldier fires, but no, it's Rude Awakening that gets it, but Memory Leak falls. And Invade is very low.
Elsewhere, Fight Breast Cancer escapes against Invade, but it's going to take one more parting shot. Rude Awakening might sneak out to finish him off. Does not connect. It's E63 instead.
Traded fire on both sides. Tanks still alive. Rude Awakening, Cool Hammer, Invade, and E63M6 for Top Tier. Aggressor, X-Soldier, and Ryan, the only ones left alive for I Love Lamp. And there goes X-Soldier. It's 2 against 4, and now Rumba wants a kill. I know E63M6 wants to unleash the power of this tank destroyer, and Ryan could be the target of that power.
Yeah, don't forget about Aggressor. He can hit hard, and aside from a Rude Awakening, he could very well finish off E63. He could very well finish off Invade with an HE shell or Cool Hammer. But Rude is the only tanker left who's going to be able to take that. There, Aggressor takes down Invade. Doesn't even need to worry about wear on the armor. So little health that HE is going to finish him off.
And Rude Awakening takes down Ryan, E63M6, the closest tank to the final tank left alive for I Love Lamp in the KV2. Pressing up closer and closer, ready to get that kill around that corner. E63M6 ready to line up the shot, taking his time, waiting for his teammates to move in as well. Lines up around the corner here, but it's Rude Awakening, the 110 that's going to come from behind.
Just in time, and just as Aggressor realizes what's happening.
Oh, it's a big bounce. A big bounce from E63M6. That was huge. Yeah. Top tier gets the victory, though.
And he only does about 400 damage in that shell. That's HE working for you. Even against something with as little armor as a waffle, you are going to get that underperforming shell, and you're just going to kind of cry at one lonely tear.
Yep. I really liked, again, top tier's movement and position. Going for the southern approach on the west, landing a couple of shots, diminishing the HP of their opponent, and to them, freeing them up to aggress if they wanted to. I also like the response from I Love Lamp to swing to the south because of the 2 KV5s distracting the 110 and the IS-3 for a while. But in the end, it didn't matter. Top tier was able to defend.
Well, this battle is also an example of an exercise in split engagements. So you have usually a single commander on the team. That commander in this situation is looking at a nightmare. He has to coordinate his team members who are engaging individual or smaller groups of targets scattered throughout the map. And he has to be able to allocate his forces appropriately. Having that 110 IS-3 combo in the north to hold off the KV5s, a little bit luck, but a little bit of putting your tanks in the right place so that they are prepared for the most predictable situation, would you say?
Yeah, most predictable. Yeah.
And then being able to move everyone else around in just the right way, have everyone working together in just the right way, that you're getting damage in the important areas, taking out the most important and crucial tanks to your success.
Well said. Well said. Adaptability is very, very key, though, for a lot of these teams, not just in what's happening in the battlefield, but the changes of maps. And that's what's going to happen right now as we move on to Steps, a more open map compared to Himmelsdorf. Top tier took a timeout. Every team is allowed 1 timeout per match, and it's a 60-second timeout for them. So in that timeout, maybe they're trying to think of strategies or executions or playing the patient game. And if you're up 3-1, and if you're starting out as defense, that's what I would do. I would play the patient game. Make them come to us. Make them have the anxiety. Make them have the push, the drive to come and attack us rather than us trying to kind of dictate what's happening. But this is where it changes, though, for a lot of teams, that if you're not dictating the tempo and the pace of what's happening, you could lose control of the battle.
Yeah, and I love that you hit on this point because it's such a rich discussion to have, which I haven't found a way to the end yet, but it's...
We're on that journey together.
We're going to be on that journey for all of this league forever and always. It's what do you do? You know, do you as the defender decide to ever just pick the strategy, I'm going to defend, I'm going to let my opponent do it, and I'm going to react. That very simp style strategy, you know? But you can see teams like Simple Tankers from time to time, well, actually very consistently being aggressive and getting results from time to time, especially early on in a series. So we could say right now in the meta, being aggressive early on a map is probably one of your best strategies because your opponent is not ready for what you're going to bring.
But the readiness, too, has to be on both sides, both the practical realities and the improbable, oh my gosh, I didn't think they were going to do this. How do you defend against it? Sometimes you can't. There's only so many things you can do at one time to prepare for so many battles. So that's why we have multiple battles here on these different maps. As we move into battle number 5, on Steps between these two teams, what do we have for tanks?
All right, top tier, blue team defending 2 T-32s, single 1393 RU-251s, and that 5916. So very standard strategy for a defense. Against that, I Love Lamp has decided to bring something much lighter, which is a Pershing, 2 of them, a Charioteer, which I'm looking forward to seeing if we can see better performance out of a Charioteer, because so far it hasn't been...
It's been okay.
It hasn't been
landed
impressive.
a shot or two. It's been more of presence on the battlefield rather than execution in a brawl.
And they're going to complement that with 3 RUs and a 5916 as well. The 5916 becoming the normal tank, it seems, on this map, because I assume it's autoloader, which can deal around 500 damage, depending. I mean, it seems to roll below 100 sometimes on those hits, and then sometimes you get that nice over 100 damage hit, which, if you can rack a few of those up in the few seconds it takes to empty your clip, it's a dangerous, dangerous little tank.
Well, back to our discussion before this battle began of, do you continue to dictate the pace of the battlefield, or do you make your opponent come to you? Top tier playing the defensive strategy in the Northeastern Valley. You have 3 over 1 compared to Isle of Lamp, 2 battles away from taking the series. And shots fired. Blind fire coming out from top tier, it looks like.
Although Callus may be able to spot fight breast cancer, and he should take some shells from downtown from E6 and invade if that occurs. Or even further down, Spencer and Memory Leak might be able to get a shot on target, although Baby Skittles reveals himself and is going to take damage for it.
He's hit for 238.
Pay the toll.
Star Shield able to dodge a shot in the M26 Pershing. Looking for an opening, fires back towards Spencer, no dice. But he gets hit for 250.
Not bad, not bad. Now Callus is in the position to spot the cap on Baby Halo, and that will allow top tier very quickly to regain control of this. But if they wait too long or Callus goes down, we're looking at a situation where Isle of Lamp is going to be pressuring top tier into a response that they may not have enough time to execute.
Charioteer looking for an opening. And hits for 103?
Yeah, 103 damage.
All right. Just double checking to make sure there's not an M41 Bulldog anywhere landing a shot against Rude Awakening.
Just a really low roll.
Yeah.
Well,
another shot. That's 75 against Coolhammer. And then 302 for a double volley. Ex-Soldier scouting through the no man's road.
I think Callus is going to move for Baby Halo now. Does take 1 bounce for it, but there it is. Connection onto Baby Halo for 249 is going to force him off the cap and give top tier more time to work with.
Ex-Soldier hit for 290. It's a dance back and forth between these two teams here.
Oh, and I like the position from Memory Leak. 1390, all alone, way off to the south, is going to be able to throw a shot here and there into those Pershings in the north, which if they can get weakened just enough, I'm thinking you could see a counter push from top tier. They don't need to necessarily, but having that option available would be wonderful for them. Oh, did you see that 86 damage on a Rude?
No, I did not.
Okay, I think that was
That's
from
coming
Aggressor.
The
high,
Charioteer?
Yeah, the Charioteer. I think he's firing these Hesh rounds, which have a high penetration, and even though you have great armor on the T-32's turret, the HE pen should be enough that you can occasionally get good rolls, and up until then damage the gun, optics, maybe take out Commander or Gunner or something, and just pepper him with HE. Because you have 7 minutes to do that, you can pressure the cap, force the T-32s up, and then counter that out with Aggressor. But he needs to make a few more connections in order for this to be worth it.
Baby Skittles hit for 207 before that. Callus got hit by a pot shot for over 200 damage.
Oh, 80 damage right into the side of the turret of Rude Awakening. He's not losing a crew member or anything, but surprisingly enough, that was not very effective. I would have thought a Charioteer HE round in the side of a T-32 turret would hurt a little bit more, but America? Like, you know, just...
That American firepower and armor.
Yeah.
A couple more shots, so Coolhammer gets hit for 28, so it had to be probably Heat Shell.
Yeah, that one sizzled.
Callus gets hit for 243. He is the scout out there trying to find the positioning of I Love Lamp. Ooh. Screening a bit of the cap. Baby Skittles hit for 564. Baby Skittles low on HP. Star Shield is hit as he moves up.
Yeah, this is a nice crossfire into that position. No matter where I Love Lamp decides to pressure, I think top tier is going to be able to respond appropriately. Although Invade moving out in the open like he just did, taking 454, might come back to bite him, especially if I Love Lamp pressures this further.
And here comes the brawl as Rude Awakening tries to hold for top tier. Akula moved in earlier on. Ex-Soldier takes down Rude Awakening. Baby Skittles and Star Shield isolated. Invade trying to shut them down in the RU-251. He takes a hit for 215. I'm going to focus on Invade here and the flag cap. They still on it with 42 seconds left, but they leave with a reset, it looks like, coming from Memory League, pushing in the 1390. He gets a kill against Aggressor. Baby Halo in the 5916 goes down as well for Memory League. And Top Tier is ready to clean this up. 4 against 2. Baby Skittles and Star Shield holding the M26 Pershings. But for how long? RU-251 is able to clean it up.
Huh, that was cute.
Baby Skittles got that kill, though.
Yeah, free kill.
Free kill from the Pershing. Here come Final 2 tanks. And Top Tier puts another point on the board on steps against I Love Lamp. 4-1 currently in the series. Good defensive play coming from Top Tier. Landing their shots from long range made the difference when Lamp decided to push.
Yes, exactly. And Lamp isn't doing anything to challenge the core of what Top Tier is trying to do. They're setting up. They've got a solid defense. And what is the response from I Love Lamp? They're going to put a 59-16 on cap and try to screen it. How many other times has that happened? It's happened every single match that we've seen on steps.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I can't think of one where we didn't get a tank sitting on cap to pressure it. Top Tier's getting used to that. Their response was appropriate. Callus had good timings. T-32s popped up at the right time. I don't think I Love Lamp was really presenting anything that Top Tier couldn't answer.
If I Love Lamp was standing on the ground and Top Tier was the sky with black clouds completely encompassing I Love Lamp, the one shining bright star piercing through that darkness would be Artie right now.
Oh, that's
an effective use on Artie on steps to break this northeastern camp, to change the pace of what's happening on the battlefield, to mix it up. Could be exactly what I Love Lamp needs as long as they use it effectively.
That's the difficult part, though. Most teams have seen some success, but they've seen also huge failures because they've brought an artillery piece. Usually they have to bring it at least 2 matches, or 2 battles, I should say, and then maybe one of them it does well, and the other, it might not have that great of an effect, but if you win or lose, it wasn't based on that artillery. Artillery is just not consistent enough.
Battle number 6 between Top Tier and I Love Lamp begins in a matter of moments. What do we have for tanks, Randall?
All right, we have a short tank for Lamp. Real quick, I'll start with them as they're on the attack red team. 2 Pershings, 3 RU-251s, and they were going to bring that Artie like you were talking about, M44, but they've forgotten someone. Either they didn't ready up in time, because there's a hard timer. If they don't ready up in the training room, they can just be left out, and then they're sub points because they're down a player. That's unfortunate for I Love Lamp, but it could be due to a disconnect. We'll have to see in a moment. That's called. Yep, it looks like.
Yep, look, there was a disconnect here.
Unfortunate. So.
Oh, there's actually a disqualification coming.
Improper points, I think it would be, because if you're down 1 tank, you lose 6 tier points.
Yeah. So Top Tier wins the match because of the point difference.
Oh,
so that's it. Top Tier takes it, and a disqualification, unfortunately, from I Love Lamp. So that brings us a 5-1 victory.
Oh, it's unfortunate. I wanted to see Top Tier.
I wanted to see Artie. It was there.
That's too bad.
It was there. Well, to give you an update of what's happening with Simp versus Hammer Time, they're currently tied 2-2 right now.
Oh, wow. Simp Hammer Time 2-2.
Yeah, that is a bit of a surprise right now. But Hammer Time has been with us in Season 2, a team that's been in the top 4 more than once at the end of a season, or at least in the top 5. But I look forward to what's going to happen at the end of that series as we continue on with our next match in just a little bit. But overall, Top Tier's performance, was it better than you expected?
Yes, much better. Would you agree?
Yes. No? Okay. Oh, yes, definitely. I liked their adaptability, and the way that they were using defense on Himmelsdorf was something to keep an eye out for in future matches. Well, that does it for match number 1. We're going to get ready for match number 2 after this. Stay tuned.